What's up, everybody? This is Alex Wink Inc. Michael, and welcome to another episode of the AM News Show. The AM, of course, stands for Alex Michael, and this is the AM News, but in the PM. And today, I like to do these shows when there's a lot of news and there's not a lot to deep dive into, so I try to do these at least once or twice a week. And this is this week's kind of iteration of a rundown of some topics that I think are interesting, but maybe not big enough to dive into entirely, with the exception of one. So let's lead off with the elephant in the room, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel dropped yesterday, officially in theaters. It's obviously been the discussion topic for a lot of people. It's been scrutinized pretty heavily, good and bad. Well, I don't know. We'll see how it does in theaters. I think that it's probably going to be relatively successful financially, albeit maybe it is a mediocre movie. What the main story, though, that is kind of circling the internet today in the last few days is the reviews. So a lot of people feel like the movie is being unfairly review bombed, we'll say. So big disparity on RottenTomatoes.com right now is it's averaging about an 82% critic score, and it's getting about a 32% audience score. Now I gotta say, that does seem a little bit suspicious on the audience score, varying that differently. But we'll kind of see how it rounds out over the weekend and kind of go from there. I do expect, though, that the audience score won't recover to the point of where the critic score is. But with that being said, I know this movie's faced a lot of adversity from both sides. You know, I understand Brie Larson's made comments that may have upset some people, but let's look at the film like what it is. Is it a good movie or is it not? Does it contribute well to the MCU or does it not? So I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm going to take my nephew. I look forward to kind of providing what I think is, you know, hopefully as arbitrary of a review as possible of the movie itself. And I obviously won't deep dive in it. I'll probably just say it was good or it was bad, and here's why. But that's obviously at the forefront, I think, of a lot of people this weekend. It's probably going to dominate the weekend as far as news goes, as far as entertainment, gaming, and that kind of stuff. I will probably also do a video on this, and I'll probably focus more on the business side of it, as far as someone that represents a franchise or a company and how their actions can affect a project, a film, or a company negatively or positively, depending on how they conduct themselves and what they say, without getting into the politics and things like that of it. But either way, hopefully the film is good and hopefully it contributes positively to the MCU, and I look forward to kind of checking it out. In other news, we have a major release that dropped today, Devil May Cry 5. Another banger for Capcom. Capcom continues to have a great 3 months. I mean, with Resident Evil 2, now they dropped Devil May Cry 5, which it's being touted as probably one of the best in the series. I'm seeing 9s and 10s. I'd say 9s and 9.5s. I think I saw a 10, maybe 2 from critics. But overall, the vast majority are saying that this is a phenomenal game, which features obviously our favorites in Nero, Dante, and then it also has a new character. But what's unique about it is it's featuring 3 completely distinct play styles in this game. And I've seen critics say that each one of these play styles for each character is so deep that it could have merited their own game each. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. I'll probably jump into it this weekend and we'll go from there. But I'm really excited. Devil May Cry 5, if you have a PS4 console, this should be on your radar for sure. Moving on into some other news, getting a little bit more obscure, but that's okay. EA has announced that they will be skipping the press conference at E3. This is following suit with a lot of other companies. Some companies, you know, I think Sony is skipping E3 altogether. Now, I've seen a lot of people praise this action, and I'm not really sure why. Personally, I would think that you'd want to use every opportunity as a company to get your stuff out there, unless you have something that you don't want to be faced with, or if you have a scandal, or if you have some negative things that have happened, which EA has, obviously, that they just don't want to deal with. But this is kind of all the way in May, so I find these moves very peculiar for these companies to skip these press conferences. Now EA seems to be doing their own type of thing. They're doing like EA Play, I think it's called. So I'll be interested to see kind of what that is. They've kind of come out and said, listen, we're going to focus on the games and give people an opportunity to just play our games, and we're just going to shut up. So an interesting stance. I look forward to see how that works out for them. not entirely sure what to expect, but we'll kind of have to see what happens with E3 and how this is going to affect E3. I mean, E3 has been a staple of an event for years. I mean, it's been the premier event for launching new games, new hardware, everything. And a lot of these companies are kind of doing their own thing or going in a different direction. So look forward to kind of seeing how this all plays out, but we'll also be sad to see E3 kind of lose a little bit more credibility with this move. And finally, even more obscure, Sonic the Hedgehog. We had a image kind of come out of the live action Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and it has had people in quite the uproar. And on this one, I kind of understand why. It is a horrible looking image, which is right here. I don't know, I'm not a fan, but what has been encouraging is to see a lot of the fans of the Sonic the Hedgehog series come out with their own versions of the character, like what they feel like it should look like. I think this is probably the best they could do for a live action movie. If you look at the new Detective Pikachu movie, it's kind of similar. Like you saw Lickitung, that thing is incredibly scary. But I hope they're not stuck to this. They might be though. I think this is really what we're looking at here. It's Sonic and some Nikes. And we'll have to see how this shakes out. I mean, I'm really digging the live action movies. I'm really digging that they're kind of going through and making these things. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see more live action films, good or bad. I think it's a cool move. At least it gives us something new for content that we enjoyed as kids or growing up, or some of the classics like Disney and all that good stuff. But last but certainly not least, actually this is probably last and certainly least, we go to Anthem. So once again, Anthem is riddled with all kinds of issues, and now it's come out that the first weapon in the game is the best weapon. And I won't dive into this too much, but apparently there's a lot of videos and data and things like that that has shown that the first weapon is bugged and broken, and it actually is the most DPS. It's actually the highest damage output weapon in the game. So once again, Anthem is plagued by bugs and controversy. They banned one of their streamers that was really promoting the game, and Glad, for really nothing, for doing what they called an exploit, but he was basically doing a loot farm rotation from where Anthem had better epic or legendary drops in the loot rotations of the chests than they did in actually the in-game content. I don't necessarily see this as an exploit. I don't even think this is a bannable offense. I think that Glad was more than generous in his apology and actually acknowledging that he did something wrong, when in fact I don't think he did anything wrong. I mean, yeah, when you do discover something like this, but it's in a single player game, maybe it throws up a red flag in your mind like, hey, maybe this is not right. But at the same time, this is a single player game that doesn't affect anybody for the loot he gets. I just think this was entirely the wrong move, especially when it's in-game content that no one is really enjoying or doing. They're only actually doing one of the missions that's actually doable. So I feel like this is a bad move once again, and it saddens me greatly because I actually really kind of liked Anthem in the beginning, and as more and more I've played it and as more and more we've kind of gone along, it's really kind of fallen to the wayside for me, which is not encouraging. But EA has some good things on the horizon. Maybe they can recover from this. But for the AM News Show, that is all for today. That's all the topics we're going to cover. Let me know in the comments below about any of these things that you think, as far as, the Captain Marvel controversy, all of the Sonic the Hedgehog, what does it look like, all of the stuff we talked about. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm always happy to read your comments, disagree, agree, either way. Thank you so much for the feedback and support, and I will see you on the next one.